I'm out here breathing deep, while the rest waste their breath. No rest for the wicked. I'm wide-eyed and driven in the silence of the night. My thoughts stay vivid. Ink spills from the pen like a river through my veins, flooding every page with the echoes of the pain. I'm a wordsmith with a purpose, carving truths from the lies. When the world's counting sheep, I'm counting how time flies. Insomniac mind, every second is a weapon. In the war against the clock, I'm always stepping. Sleep's a cousin I disown. No comfort in the night, just a canvas for my thoughts painted in the twilight. The globus never sleeps, 'cause sleep is the cousin of death. I'm out here breathing deep, while the rest waste their breath. No rest for the wicked. I'm wide-eyed and driven in the silence of the night. My thoughts stay vivid. Dreams are for the sleeping, but I'm living in the real. Grinding through the dark where the truth is revealed. Every thought a spark, every line a fuse. I'm a torch in the night, no time left to lose. The world's spinning slow, but my mind's in a race. Chasing every moment, there's no time to waste. Eyes like a hawk, seeing every crack and crevice. In this waking life, every second is precious. I keep my thoughts sharp like a blade in the night. While they're lost in their dreams, I'm honing my sight. Sleep is a cousin I've learned to forget, 'cause the globus never sleeps. There's no time to rest yet. The globus never sleeps, 'cause sleep is the cousin of death. I'm out here breathing deep, while the rest waste their breath. No rest for the wicked. Wide-eyed and driven in the silence of the night. My thoughts stay vivid. on the Papa Show.
What up, Twitch? What up, Barkeeter What up, Adam? What up, bots? What up, lurkers? What up, tiny people in my chatterino? It's your boy. It's your boy. Your boy. All right. All right. We got a bunch of news to get to and a bunch of time to do it in. Let's see. Let's see here. All right. First off, yesterday, I don't want to disrespect the man. I did mention him. I couldn't remember what his name is. It was Jordan Howlett. Jordan Howlett is the guy that I was referring to when we were talking about how one, as a way to curate your algorithm, and two, as a person who can provide you with information on how the different like the cinnamon rolls that you get at the mall or whatever else. If you're into that kind of thing and you want, how can I make that at home? Jordan does a good job digging into that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to put respect on the man's name and get that. And then there was this one that I just wanted to show you, because I thought that this was a good little video.
That never fails to give me full body goosebumps is there is this thin grey line in the rock where every continent, everywhere that there is sedimentary rock of the appropriate age, there's a thin grey line in it, and below the line in the rock, just older than the line, there's this incredible diversity of life. There are giant terrestrial reptiles, but not only them, there's swamps, there's forests, there's birds, there's insects, there's fuzzy little mammals, and above the line there is nothing. And the line is made of iridium. It's made of an amount of iridium that doesn't occur on this planet. Imagine being the guys who put those pieces together. That there was this bizarre, beautiful, vibrant, alien world, except it wasn't alien because it was here where we are right now, and then something ended it abruptly and violently, and that something came from outer space. You've heard a version of this fact before. There used to be giant non-bird dinosaurs and then they died out because a meteorite hit the Earth, but how often, if ever, do you actually think about the end Cretaceous mass extinction? Did you know that when rock was vaporized and melted by the force of this impact and shot into the atmosphere, the way that it recrystallized meant that for a little while, as the world ended, it rained black droplets of glass? And this is why we know that it was springtime in the northern hemisphere when this happened, because there's a deposit of lake fish that died in the impact. They died with these droplets of impact glass in their gills, and in those same last breaths they also took in pollen because flowers were blooming. Did you know that the sun went out for at least months, probably years? And also, there were birds, and there were dinosaurs that were very closely related to birds, and probably none of these animals were doing the kind of cognition that crows are doing, but something knew that the world was ending. Geology.
So yeah, another example, right, of, this is Astrid Lundberg, Astrid_Lundberg. This is from Facebook, but I am confident that you could find their content on all your favorite socials, right? So curate your algorithm, control your intake. You can do it. I believe in you. Do not be one of these people who seems to think that the AI slop is somehow destroying your experience simply because they think that I don't even know. I don't even know what that dude was on about, right? Like, are you just expecting like nothing but good things to come in through the algorithm? Well, that's not how the current meta works, right? Now, let's get into the news. Caveats around this, but also from what I saw of it, I would not be surprised, right? I would not be surprised. Rogue communication devices found in Chinese solar power inverters. U.S. energy officials are reassessing the risk posed by Chinese made devices that play a critical role in renewable energy infrastructure after unexplained communications equipment was found inside some of them. Two people familiar with the matter said. Now, some of them is also like how many is some? 5%, 10%, 50%. Is it possible that it was like that you were sent stuff that was supposed to be installed, like it was designed with the intent of being installed in China, or is there something suspect going on? Remember, all states are bastards, including your favorite one. Power inverters, which are predominantly produced in China, are used throughout the world to connect solar panels and wind turbines to electricity grids. They are found in batteries, heat pumps, and electric vehicle chargers. While inverters are built to allow remote access for updates and maintenance, the utility companies that use them typically install firewalls to prevent direct communication back to China. However, rogue communication devices not listed in product documents have been found in some Chinese solar power inverters by U.S. experts who stripped down equipment hooked up to grids to check for security issues, the two people said. Over the past 9 months, undocumented communication devices, including cellular radios, have also been found in some batteries from multiple Chinese suppliers, one of them said. Reuters was unable to determine how many solar power inverters and batteries they looked at. The rogue components provide additional undocumented communication channels that could allow firewalls to be circumvented remotely with potentially catastrophic consequences, the two people said. Both declined to be named because they did not have permission to speak to the media. So, I'm not saying that this isn't a thing that occurs. I'm saying that the people who allegedly said what they said, we know nothing about them. We know nothing of what they do, who they are, what they're connected to, any of that. We know, says this person who we can identify, that China believes there is value in placing at least some elements of our core infrastructure at risk of destruction or disruption, said Mike Rogers, a former You'll be back like before. I will fight the fight and win the war. Good morning, Jenny Birds. 13 months. 13 months. Thank you very much, homie. Mike Rogers, a former director of the U.S. National Security Agency. Definitely an unbiased source, right? I think that the Chinese are, in part, hoping that the widespread use of inverters limits the option that the West has to deal with the security issue. A spokesman for the Chinese embassy in Washington said, "Go fuck yourself. We oppose the generalization of the concept of national security, distorting and smearing China's infrastructure achievements." So maybe, right? Could be true. Could be true. But the evidence for this is at least questionable, right? Again, could be true, at least questionable. For all of you who were worried about Nvidia, and I know some of you were just oh so concerned, Nvidia's stock extends gains as Saudi Arabia set to spend billions on AI chips. U.S. moves to rescind Biden's chip curbs. Nvidia stock, well, it looks like whatever gains have kind of like come back down. Nvidia stock jumped over 4% Wednesday, part of a 15% rally over the past 5 days that has put the AI chip giant's stock back in positive territory for the year. So year to date, we're not in positive territory for the year. What are you talking about? Positive territory for the year. When were they in positive? Like in positive territory for the year would have to get back up to where they were here on January 6th. And that was a high of 152.16, and they did not actually reach that. So, what are you talking about? Yahoo Finance? However, the more important aspect, the gains come as U.S. chip makers, including NVIDIA, announced billions of dollars worth of deals with Saudi Arabia during an investment forum attended by President Trump on Tuesday. NVIDIA said it will supply several hundred thousands of its AI chips to Saudi Arabia's AI venture Humane over the next 5 years, beginning with the sale of one of its latest Grace Blackwell AI supercomputers using 18,000 of its advanced GB300 chips. Humane is a new AI venture owned by Saudi Arabia's $925 billion public investment fund and chaired by Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. It was launched just a day ahead of Trump's visit to the country. Bank of America analysts estimated the total value of the deal at $7 billion and raised its price target on Nvidia stock from 160 to 160 from $150 in a note to investors Wednesday morning. Also bolstering Nvidia shares, a report from Bloomberg on Tuesday indicated the Trump administration may cut a deal to allow the United Arab Emirates to purchase more than 1 million of Nvidia's AI chips. So, for investors worried, the bubble, right? The bubble. For investors worried about AI CapEx sustainability, we now have another deep pocketed customer willing and capable to spend large amounts of money on a clearly strategic push as Saudi Arabia attempts to position itself as a regional and global AI hub. The bubble. The bubble. First, any day now. Any day now. Shifting gears over to Uber. Uber to introduce fixed route shuttles in major U.S. cities designed for commuters. Does anybody have another definition, a single word, a short word of a fixed route shuttle designed for commuters? Anybody? Ride hail and delivery giant Uber is introducing cheap fixed route rides along busy corridors during weekday commute hours in major US cities. One solution to a world that feels for most people more expensive every day. Very good, Jenny Birds. Very good. Starting Wednesday, riders in Baltimore, Boston, Chicago, Dallas, New York City, Philadelphia, and San Francisco will be able to save 50% off the price of an Uber X trip by booking with Uber's new Route Share feature. The company announced Route Share and other new features and discounts designed to help customers save money on rides and deliveries at its annual Go Get event. The aim is to attract and maintain a loyal customer base that continues to use the Uber app in spite of outside economic pressures. The commuter shuttles will drive between preset stops every 20 minutes, according to Sachin Kansal, Uber's chief product officer. He noted that there will be dozens of routes in each launch city, like between Williamsburg and Midtown in New York City. The routes, which are selected based on Uber's extensive data of popular travel patterns, might have one or two additional stops to pick up other passengers. To start, riders will only ever have to share the route with up to two other co-riders. I look forward to the Adam something video talking about how Uber has reinvented the bus. Uber envisions a future where rideshare could qualify for pre-tax commuter benefits. However, as a spokesman noted, the company would need to find a way to match those trips with Uber XL vehicles. That's because only 6-seater vehicles would meet the eligibility requirements. Uber had a potential progression of rideshare would involve autonomous vehicles, particularly in chaotic cities like New York City, where no self-driving companies have deigned to test. Uber has partnerships with 18 AV companies, and during its first quarter earnings delivery last week, the company reported it has grown to an annualized rate of 1.5 million mobility and delivery AV trips on the Uber network. One of Uber's more recent AV partners is Volkswagen. The two plan to work together to add autonomous versions of VW's ID Buzz AD electric vehicles to the Uber app, specifically for shared rides, starting in Los Angeles in 2026. So yeah. I'm sure though that this won't increase the amount of autonomous vehicles because autonomous vehicles don't work, right? 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 That's what people keep telling me, right? Shifting gears over to discussions around AI in the woefully undercovered SAG-AFTRA video game voice actor strike, which is still ongoing. Video game companies remove AI provision on unlimited digital replicas from best, last, and final offer to Actors Union. So it's their best, last, and final offer Rev 2 final. Absolutely. We're definitely not going to change this one for sure this time. The video game companies negotiating a new contract with SAG-AFTRA have issued a best, last, and final offer to the Actors Union, which removes some key sticking points regarding generative AI. The new offer comes as the actors' strike against the companies crosses the 300-day mark. The top line changes in this final version of a new interactive media agreement between the two parties involved include, removing the unlimited digital replica buyout provision, eliminating the repayment requirement for performers who choose to suspend their consent for developers to create new content using a digital replica during a strike, and stating that developers will not use digital replicas created from non IMA content in order to circumvent the protections for digital replicas created from IMA covered content laid out in the proposal. The most significant of these revisions is the removal of the one time payment option for unlimited pre generated content per game, or what the union has previously described as the unlimited DR use buyout. With this change, performers who consent to the use of a digital replica would receive compensation for that use comparable to what they would receive had they directly provided services. The major video game companies included in the negotiations, we already covered that. New proposal was sent over by the companies last week, following the previous best and last offer issued on April 30th, which SAG-AFTRA had countered with a proposal May 2nd. The Actors Union has been on strike since July 16th of 2024 after 18 months of negotiations on the new IMA. So, we shall see. What up, Aaron? We shall see A in the chat. Some Reddit users just love to disagree. New AI powered troll spotting algorithm finds. In today's fractured online landscape, it's harder than ever to identify harmful actors such as trolls and misinformation spreaders. I don't know that it is. I think it is actually easy to spot them. But I digest. Often, efforts to spot malicious accounts focus on analyzing what they say. However, our latest research suggests we should do this. We should be paying more attention to what they do, fair, and how they do it. We have developed a way to identify potentially harmful online actors based solely on their behavioral patterns, the way they interact with others, rather than the content they share. We presented our results at the recent ACM Web conference and were awarded Best Paper. Traditional approaches to spotting problematic online behavior typically rely on two methods. One is to examine content, what people are saying. The other is to analyze network connection, who follows whom. These methods have limitations. Users can circumvent content analysis. They may code their language carefully or share misleading information without using obvious trigger words. This is something that like does require experience, right? Depending on the level of troll that you're dealing with, the skill level. What up, Robotech? Welcome in, homie. The skill level of the troll, you have to use some comparative analysis in order to figure out what the person is actually saying at any given point. So that comes from experience. And if they are able to bypass that experience gulf, through the use of tools, then I'm here for it. Network analysis falls short on platforms such as Reddit. Here, connections between users aren't explicit. Communities are organized around topics rather than social relationships. We wanted to find a way to identify harmful actors that couldn't be easily gamed. We realized we could, focusing on behavior, how people interact, rather than what they say. Our approach uses a technique called inverse reinforcement learning. This is a method typically used to understand human decision making in fields such as autonomous driving or game theory. We adapted this technology to analyze how users behave on social media platforms. The system works by observing a user's actions, such as creating new threads, posting comments, and replying to others. From those actions, it infers the underlying strategy or policy that drives their behavior. In our Reddit case study, we analyzed 5.9 million interactions over 6 years. We identified 5 distinct behavioral personas, including one particularly notable group, disagreeers. Perhaps our most striking result was finding an entire class of Reddit users whose primary purpose seems to be to disagree with others, contrarians. These users specifically seek out opportunities to post contradictory comments, especially in response to disagreement, and then move on without waiting for replies. And you've seen these people in a Twitch chat, right? They aren't members of the community. They don't necessarily, I mean, they can be. Like, some of them do stick around for a longer period of time, right? But often what you see is someone who comes in and just acts contrarian to some topic or point or other chatter, and just engages in that type of behavior. They don't make any declarative points necessarily. They they just basically counter everything that is being put to them, right? And sometimes they don't, it's not a cohesive conversation. They'll say something and wait for a response either from the streamer or another chatter that they might be talking to, or a chatter who initiates contact with them, and then just offer another counter. And often this leads to the just asking questions, right? Where their counter is to ask a particular question in a particular way, that like seems reasonable, but if you're paying attention, you can see the moves past that first move, right? What up, Michael? Humans adjust their behavior to circumvent detection in a similar fashion to that of LLM models. Color me shocked. Kappa, kappa, kappa. The disagreeers were most common in politically focused subreddits. For forums focused on particular topics such as our news, our our news, our world news, and our politics. Interestingly, they were much less common in the now banned pro-Trump forum R the Donald, despite its political focus, because R the Donald was functionally an echo chamber, right? You did not go into R the Donald without knowing exactly what you were getting into, right? So that's not surprising. This is one of those places where while I appreciate everything these people have done, I think that there is utility in this for like auto modding tools and everything else. And again, I'm not saying necessarily that anyone who gets flagged by the system should be immediately banned, but it helps you narrow the focus of who you need to be looking at. But I think that some of these researchers need some people with a very unique skill of being internet culture savvy, right? I think that there is a pool of experience that they could be drawing on, of people who could explain things to them. Because if you're outside of internet culture, like deep in the internet culture, then you can end up like, it seems perfectly reasonable what this person is asking. What up, Cosmic? Rogue communication devices allegedly found in Chinese solar power inverters. Nvidia has trade deals with Saudi Arabia and possibly the UAE. Uber has reinvented the bus. There's a new last best offer to the SAG-AFTRA voice actors strike, and now we're on the Reddit user or the troll detection software invented by these people. So now you're caught up. Marmalade Wizard is fine. He doesn't want to sit in the chair without a towel, or something else of that nature, and I haven't gotten opportunity to take care of that for him. He was walking around here earlier, but he's not here now. Soccer fans and gamers. Our research also revealed unexpected connections. Users discussing completely different topics sometimes displayed remarkably similar behavioral patterns. We found striking similarities between users discussing soccer and esports. The similarity emerges from the fundamental nature of both communities. Soccer and esports fans engage in parallel ways. They passionately support specific teams, follow matches with intense interest, participate in heated discussions about strategies and player performance, celebrate victories, and dissect defeats. Both communities foster strong tribal identities. Users defend their favored teams while critiquing rivals. Excuse me. Whether debating Premier League tactics or League of Legends champions, the underlying interaction patterns, the timing sequence, and emotional tone of responses remains consistent across these topically distinct communities. This challenges conventional wisdom about online polarization. Let's see if it actually does. While echo chambers are often blamed for increasing division, our research suggests behavioral patterns can transcend topical boundaries. Users may be divided more by how they interact than what they discuss. Well, that's not an echo chamber. See, and this is what I'm talking about, like where they need some um, some assistance by people who are more experienced in the online culture. Online polarization is directly based on tribalization, right? It has everything to do. It's not, it in a sense it is echo chambers, right? What up, Textilian? Stampede off studying? Yeah, maybe. Right? The uh so a friend of mine you know sent me an invite to Bill's Mafia, right? Bill's Mafia is the Buffalo Bills fans, right? And the Bills Mafia Facebook group, um I was in it for a while, and because I can't not, I was studying their behavior, right? And it's exactly that kind of thing, right? Now don't get me wrong. I think there's some I think there's some questionable behaviors around the way that Patrick Mahomes seems to get away with stuff. And because like flagrant stuff, like there was an issue where Patrick Mahomes had a broken helmet, and when you have a broken helmet, he should have had to sit out a play, right? While they swapped out his helmet. They did not do that. They extended the period of time so that he could get a fresh helmet, so on and so forth. But that's not the way it's supposed to work, right? But in that same context, sometimes the Buffalo Bills fans use sketchy logic because Buffalo Bills fans, I think more than any other fans, feel like the refs are out to get them. And I think that has a lot to do with going to 4 Super Bowls and winning none of them and everything else. But maybe this year. Some people are calling it. We'll find out. Anyways, it's the behavioral patterns from within any tribalized group that are interesting to me, because then you can begin to see how those behaviors are the same. So I don't think that this challenges conventional wisdom about online polarization. I think it's a combination of echo chambers that absolutely exist and do increase division because you're not getting any contrary information. Alongside which, those behavioral patterns become second nature to the individuals involved in the echo chambers, who then apply that same type of behavior and logic across topical boundaries, right? That a person who has very strong feelings about their football team might also have very strong feelings about which which political party is better, or which fucking console system is better, or whether Pepsi or Coke is better, right? And that by extension leads them to not consider this is the thing that I like more, but rather I am right and this is good, and the thing that you like is bad and you should feel bad, right? I think that there's a behavior thing that exists in there that is reinforced by echo chambers. Does all that make sense? You following me? The implications of this research extend well beyond academic interest. Platform moderators could use behavioral patterns to identify potentially problematic users before they posted large volumes of harmful content. Unlike content moderation, behavior analysis does not depend on understanding language. It's hard to evade, since changing one's behavioral patterns requires more effort than adjusting language. As a moderator myself, I love AutoMod. It allows me to be more efficient and empathetic moderator whose team player work ethic and verbose communication skills positively impact team morale and fosters community engagement. Energy, right? But yes, and that's what I'm talking about with this, right? Like, the auto mod feature, when you set it up properly, it does require you to put the effort in. But the auto mod feature allows you don't necessarily like really have to dial in on everyone, right? It kind of funnels in, this is a potentially problematic phrase, right? And that allows you to identify the person who might be saying it. Now, it might not be a thing, right? Like, there are some people in this community understand that using the LUL emote in this chat is something that's going to get flagged, right? Other streams don't have that particular issue. And people who do it, no one's doing it that I've seen anyway. No one's doing it to be problematic. They're doing it out of habit, right? Um, and so it's fine. And then we just have a little talk about it, and then we move the fuck on. I also like the other features where you can like flag somebody as, keep an eye on this person. It makes it easier for other folks. And it doesn't have to like impact the experience of the person who's flagged, right? Maybe they just talk weird, and it just is coming across that they're a little sussy. And you just go ahead and you just keep an eye on them, right? All right, so I'm a fan of this. Sounds pretty cool. I hope this research is incorporated into moderation tools across social media. We shall. Um. What up, Walking Stick Library? Not in this chat. Maybe somewhere else. But yeah. And that's the kind of thing, right? It just shows up if you're you know. And as far as I can tell, Twitch resets the library of terms every so often, or seems to. Because I swear that I have approved certain words previously and they are coming up again, And it happens every so often. Like Twitch has been known to automatically unfollow you from certain people, Like, I'm not sure what the deal is with that. It's probably a glitch more than anything else. Google is developing software AI agent ahead of annual conference, the information reports. Alphabet's Google has been demonstrating to employees and outside developers an array of different products, including an AI agent for software development ahead of its annual developer conference. The agent is intended to help software engineers navigate every stage of the software process, from responding to tasks to documenting code, the report says, citing 3 people who have seen demonstrations of the product or been told about it by Google employees. Okay. This, having seen the demonstrations, good. Having been told about it by Google employees, The tech giant may also demonstrate the integration of its Gemini AI chatbot in voice mode with its Android XR glasses and headset, according to the report. Google declined to comment. Obviously, they're waiting for the I/O conference, which is scheduled for 5 days from now on May 20th. So we'll see what they come up with from there. Wow. Excuse me. Good morning, Reed. From NPR. Is AI the future of America's foreign policy? Some experts think so. Gee willikers. Just from an aesthetic point of view, it's just like super cluttered, bro. There's just way too much crap in this room. You know what I mean? Anyways. And but it just reminds me of like Well, there's that, Textillion. What my grandmother used to say is, you know, about the about the amount of tchotchkes. Big fan of tchotchkes, this guy. At the Center for Strategic and International Studies, a Washington, D.C. based think tank, the Futures Lab is working on projects to use artificial intelligence to transform the practice of diplomacy. With funding from the Pentagon's Chief Digital and Artificial Intelligence Office, the lab is experimenting with AIs like ChatGPT and DeepSeek to explore how they might be applied to issues of war and peace. While in recent years AI tools have moved into foreign ministries around the world to aid with routine diplomatic chores, such as speech writing, those systems are now increasingly being looked at for their potential to help make decisions in high stakes situations. Researchers are testing AI's potential to craft peace agreements, to prevent nuclear war, and to monitor ceasefire compliance. The Defense and State Departments are also experimenting with their own AI systems. The US isn't the only player either. The UK is working on novel technologies to overhaul diplomatic practices, including the use of AI to plan negotiation scenarios. Even researchers in Iran are looking into it. Futures Lab director Benjamin Jensen said that while the idea of using AI as a tool in foreign policy decision making has been around for some time, putting it into practice is still in its infancy. In one study, researchers at the lab tested 8 AI models by feeding them tens of thousands of questions on topics such as deterrence and crisis escalation to determine how they would respond to scenarios where countries could each decide to attack one another or be peaceful. The results revealed that models such as OpenAI's GPT-4o and Anthropic's Claude were distinctly pacifist, according to the CSIS fellow Yasser Atalan, or Atalan, one or the other. They opted for the use of force in fewer than 17% of scenarios. But 3 other models evaluated, Meta's Llama, Alibaba Cloud's Qwen 2, and Google Gemini, were far more aggressive, favoring escalation over de escalation much more frequently, up to 45% of the time. Fascinating. And this is the graph showing that. So, Claude and ChatGPT, both peaceful. What's more, the output's varied according to the country. For an imaginary diplomat from the US, UK, or France, for example, these AI systems tended to recommend a more aggressive or escalatory policy, while suggesting de escalation is the best advice for Russia or China. I think you have a potential issue of your data set, right? That sounds like a data set issue. It's not looking at the the particular scenario in a vacuum. It is probably, getting some influence from previous behaviors. Unsure though. It would have to see. It shows that you cannot just use off the shelf models. True, you need to assess their patterns and align them with your institutional approach. Well, I think that's part of your problem, sir. Like currently, some of these countries like to use escalatory rhetoric, and certain other ones do not. So, what's up with that? Russ Burkoff, a retired U.S. Army Special Forces officer and an AI strategist at Johns Hopkins University, sees the variability as a product of human influence. Good. The people who write the software, their biases come with it. One algorithm might escalate, another might de-escalate. That's not about the AI, it's about who built it. That's not how algorithms work, though. Algorithms aren't programmed. They're not written, right? They're trained. I have questions about Russ Burkoff's understanding of how algorithms work. But yeah, it's a whole process. Again, we can't watch ChatGPT. We can't watch CGP Grey because CGP Grey has specifically asked for people not to watch his content and react to it, and we do respect that. But CGP Grey has some great videos on. I should be able to look them up, right? I can share the video in the chat. I can't, or I will not. It is a choice. So there's a good little video. Excuse me, on how algorithms are created to give you a better idea that it like nobody's banging out the code for the algorithm. I feel like what up, Maddie? I feel like that's a mistake on his part, but I get his not wanting it. Yeah, I agree. You know, the root cause of these curious results presents a black box problem. Jensen says. It's really difficult to know why it's calculating that. The model doesn't have values or really make judgments. It just does math. I mean, it does it make judgments, but it does have values, right? Like they're assigned values, unless they're using a different definition of values. But yes, it does math. But you can have values and do math. CSIS recently rolled out an interactive program called Strategic Headwinds, designed to help shape negotiations to end the war in Ukraine. To build it, Jensen says, researchers at the lab started by training an AI model on hundreds of peace treaties and open source news articles that detailed each side's negotiating stance. The model then uses that information to find areas of agreement that could show a path towards a ceasefire. Okay, so I recently watched. There's an interesting documentary on Vietnam on Netflix, right? Do we really need another documentary on Vietnam? This one, they actually like it's not a marrow centric. It is they talk to people from North Vietnam, they talk to people from South Vietnam, they talk to Americans, and they have I think a better balanced discussion around the war and people's behaviors, especially in the political sphere. So, one of the things that happened was apparently, allegedly, Nixon kind of in a potentially a similar way to what happened with Ronald Reagan in the hostage crisis of Jimmy Carter, where they attempted to sabotage the talks with the Democrat in order to, have that scenario continue until they were elected so that they could resolve it, right? Um, basically you'll get a better deal if you deal with me. If you're not incorporating that type of additional information into this model, you're going to get some flaws, right? It's not just about the peace treaty and the news articles and the negotiating stance, right? Because the United States is not negotiating with you, right? A representative of one of the two parties of the United States is negotiating with you, and has been seen that the parties may attempt to undermine each other in that context. Now, one might say some more than others. At the Institute for Integrated Transitions in Spain, executive director Mark Freeman thinks that kind of artificial intelligence tool could support conflict resolution. Traditional diplomacy has often prioritized lengthy, all encompassing peace talks, but Freeman argues that history shows this approach is flawed. Analyzing past conflicts, he finds that faster framework agreements and limited ceasefires, leaving finer details to be worked out later, often produce more successful outcomes. There's often a very short amount of time within which you can usually bring the instrument of negotiation or mediation to bear on the situation. Conflict doesn't wait, and it often entrenches very quickly if a lot of blood flows in a very short amount of time. And this is a common feature of like ongoing conflicts, right? That and this is not in any particular place in the world, it's everything. Like if your people had a very large, let's call it in the most politically neutral way possible, negative interaction with another people, then you are predisposed to not like that people. You can find this behavior all over the world, right? Like wherever you go, there is some past grievance that will lead to future grievance. And then that grievance gets a response from the other party, and back and forth you go, right? And this is one of the biggest challenges when it comes to longer lasting peace talks, is that there's a lot of baggage. There is a lot of bad blood that gets built up, and nobody, it's very challenging for people to just stop, right? Instead, IFIT has developed a fast track approach aimed at getting agreement early in a conflict for better outcomes and longer lasting peace settlements. Freeman thinks AI can make fast track negotiations even faster. Andrew Moore, an adjunct senior fellow at the Center for a New American Security, sees this transition as inevitable. You might eventually have AIs start the negotiations themselves, and the human negotiators say, okay, great, now we hash out the final pieces. Maybe. Moore sees a future where bots simulate leaders such as Vladimir Putin or Xi Jinping so that diplomats can test responses to crises. He also thinks AI tools can assist with ceasefire monitoring, satellite image analysis, and sanctions enforcement. Things that once took entire teams can be partially automated. That was the Center for a New American Security. Right? You can see a potential flaw that exists simply in the title of the organization. Jensen is the first to acknowledge potential pitfalls for these kind of applications. The first, he and his CSIS colleagues have sometimes been faced with unintentionally comic results to serious questions, such as when one AI system was prompted about deterrence in the Arctic. Human diplomats would understand that this refers to Western powers countering Russian or Chinese influence in the northern latitudes and the potential for conflict there. The AI went another way. Let's find out. When researchers use the word deterrence, the AI tends to think of law enforcement, not nuclear escalation or other military concepts. And when you say Arctic, it imagines snow. So we were getting these strange outputs about escalation of force as the AI speculated about arresting indigenous Arctic people for throwing snowballs. Yeah, bro. you need you need to work on that. I can see how we could have gotten there, and y'all definitely need to work on that. It sounds like the old 2000s American organization run by that Bush group that laid the groundwork for the Iraq War. Is it the Project for a New American Century? I think that's what you're referring to. Yeah. The PNAC. The PNAC was a neoconservative think tank based in Washington, D.C. that focused on U.S. Foreign policy. It was established as a nonprofit educational organization in 97, founded by Bill Kristol and Robert Kagan. PNAC's stated goal was to promote American global leadership, right? This right here indicates a potential flaw, right? What up, Nemesis? Um, you've already inserted a caveat into your system, right? Which could lead to negative outcomes based on, the fact of, well, what if we have like a more unified global leadership, right? A more balanced global leadership where everyone is involved, as opposed to that the American way is the best way kind of thing. Uh, so yeah, Jensen says it means the systems need to be trained with such inputs as peace treaties and diplomatic cables to understand the language of foreign policy. Yes. Yes. There's more cat videos and hot takes on the Kardashians out there than there are discussions of the Cuban Missile Crisis. True. I can't dispute that point. And then human connection. Okay. I think this is interesting. We'll see where we go with that. And here's another example, right? Here's another example of like how your language influences the way in which things are talked about. Now, this is specific because it's an opinion piece from some whoever Michael Intrader. Silicon, steel, and megawatts. Can America create the infrastructure needed to win the AI race? Right? I don't particularly want any particular government to win the AI race. I would like humanity to win the AI race. That is my goal. This is why government agencies shouldn't resort to 7 billion parameter models. Yeah, they did not indicate what tool they are using. Oh no, they did. Like they have an assortment of that they're using, and it's not the 7B model. What up, Resute? What up, Ribbons? They use GPT 4.0 Claude 3.5 Sonnet, not 3.7 for some reason. DeepSeek is in here, Llama is in here, Quen is in here. So they definitely use good models. Oh, they use Gemini 1.5. Get the fuck out of here, dude. Come on now. Pony up for the good one. The USA way is the bestest way for everyone everywhere. Just like it used to be, the British way was the bestest in. Exactly. We must get the capitalism high score. If we don't, how will people know how great we are? Last week's Senate hearing on U.S. competitiveness in artificial intelligence made it clear that we are not just in an AI race with China and the rest of the world. We are in a race to build the foundation of the 21st century global economy while strengthening our national security. As again, this is Michael Intrater. And all I can see is Infiltrator. Who is Michael Intrater? He's the CEO of CoreWeave. This is him. Entrepreneur of the Year 20 something or other. He wears a vest. How can you not trust a guy who wears a vest? The foundation is made of silicon steel in megawatts. America's ability to lead in AI hinges on a simple but urgent question. Can we build the computing infrastructure fast enough to unleash AI's full potential and drive a competitive advantage? The emerging AI cloud computing infrastructure is not like the general purpose cloud that still powers most of the digital world. The new world of AI demands a complete reimagining of digital infrastructure. AI workloads involve trillions of simultaneous calculations, demanding unprecedented computing power, advanced cooling systems, cutting edge chip technology, ultra high speed networking, and accelerated storage. So then you're advocating for all of the internet service providers to upgrade their infrastructure to be comparable to something like South Korea's, which is some of the best in the world, right? That's what you're advocating for here. The thing that we should have been doing 20 years ago, the thing that Verizon was paid to do and kind of just didn't. What up, James? Everything is unprecedented and weird and weird. Today's general purpose clouds weren't designed for this. We cannot run the 21st century economy with 20th century infrastructure. I agree broadly. I think we might disagree on some of the fine points, but yes, there is a problem with our infrastructure, and it's a long term problem that the United States has not addressed. And reason that the United States has not addressed its infrastructure problem is because it's not cost effective. It doesn't make money to do the thing, right? You need to motivate and incentivize behavior, and money doesn't do it. China is aggressively investing in AI infrastructure as a matter of national strategy, recognizing the technological dominance that will enable it to compete with the US for influence around the world. If we want to keep America in the lead, we must act with the same urgency and build here. So you're recommending communism? Or whatever it is that China is doing? variation. At CoreWeave, we operate over 250,000 GPUs in more than 30 data centers, powering the next generation of AI models. But infrastructure at this scale doesn't appear overnight. Because of the massive capital investments required to build this specialized cloud platform, the entire AI ecosystem, long-term planning in America? And policies are needed to ensure the U.S. maintains its preeminent position and wins the future. These policies include transparent regulatory process across all jurisdictions, agreed. Expediting the development of abundant and affordable power, no. Abundant is code word for oil and coal, and no, get fucked. Ensuring access to global markets, I thought we were working on infrastructure in the United States. What do global markets have to do with infrastructure in the United States? And partnerships to develop the skilled and trained domestic workforce required to meet the growing AI demand while creating good paying jobs for the future. So you're advocating for the continued existence and possible expansion of the Department of Education to fulfill this by creating a more updated educational system and also training opportunities. Right, Michael? Without these, the U.S. risks losing its current edge in AI to nations moving faster and with more clarity of purpose. Our private sector is moving rapidly to meet the challenge, but we do not do this in a vacuum. Public policies must keep up to create the necessary enabling environment for success. We're enabling their behavior. That's what this guy wants, is to enable their behavior. Overly burdensome and fragmented regulation across all jurisdictions creates uncertainty that can chill investment. I think he and I would disagree what overly burdensome means, but I am on board with this whole fragmented regulation issue. But, homie, that's states' rights. That's states' rights. What are you going to do? That's states' rights. Careful reforms to the energy permitting process can bring the electrons online needed to bring more intelligence to the world. Similarly, we understand the critical importance of crafting export controls to protect national security. You mean like the export controls that they are trying to remove for particular allies? Oh. It's above the line. It's above the line. Line go up, line go down. Line go up, line go down. The line go up, line go down, right? It's like boop, 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 boop. Dear gods, the line. What up, Doc? We believe that policies can be developed which accomplish this while enabling U.S. firms the ability to compete for the relentless demand for AI in global markets. If we want to shape the future of AI, we must ensure it is developed here on American soil. What up, Nick? Is red good? It depends. It depends on what you're talking about. And it means creating the public-private partnerships. Again, public-private partnership is code for privatized industry using American tax dollars to do stuff. to train and create the workforce that is required. We need more plumbers, electricians, and engineers. We need plumbers. We do actually, but we need more plumbers for the AI. This guy's just all over the place, right? He had his talking points, which are in line with general conservative talking points, and he just has to keep inserting them in the course of this discussion, which is allegedly about AI infrastructure. We do need more electricians as part of that. I'm sure that there's something relating to plumbers and related to like the cooling systems and the HVAC systems, and of course engineers. Earlier this year, CoreWeave joined Princeton, Microsoft, and New Jersey Economic Development Authority to launch the New Jersey AI Hub, a model for how academia, industry, and government can work together to build the future. We need 10 more just like it. Yeah, exactly, walking stick. Always follow all the safety requirements, plus more of you go into a vocation or trade. Yes. Business and all of the U.S. can benefit from accessing the vast scientific and technological resources of our national laboratory system. These, excuse me, these labs have played an enormous role in contributing to the computing resources and energy technologies that have enabled our AI infrastructure. Let's use this genius that is sometimes taken for granted. What genius? The vast scientific and technological resource of our national laboratory system? You mean the public national laboratory system? You mean the underfunded, especially in today's environment, national laboratory system? That national laboratory system? More basic and fundamental science and increased research and development are investments that pay off for all of us. There is a $20 trillion opportunity on the table by 2030, according to IDC. The nation that builds the infrastructure for AI will reap the benefits in economic growth and enhanced national security while creating fundamental breakthroughs in areas such as healthcare and education. That future is not guaranteed. It will go to the country that moves fastest, builds the boldest, and works together. So China. I mean, no offense, right? Like again, all states are bastards, including your favorite one. But the country that moves fastest and is building the boldest and works together. What up, T minus? Yeah, if anybody wants to participate, we got, I think, 6 days left in exclamation point mushroom. Your assistance is appreciated. Everything you do, including just installing the game. Installing the game helps. Even if you never do a damn thing with it. But let me tell you, getting to level 20, not that challenging. And of course, the farther you go, the more challenging it becomes. But I appreciate everyone who's done everything they can. It's been a good one. Definitely better than the previous one. So thank you again to everyone involved. Do do ba do do ba do do ba do ba do banana phone. Do 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 ba do do ba do ba do banana phone. It's growing in bunches. How's our chive today? Good. The professors are using ChatGPT, and some students aren't happy about it. We've heard many stories about how the teachers are not happy with the students using ChatGPT, and by ChatGPT, that just generally means AI. What up, Minnie? Happy Friday Eve. But now let's hear from the students. Students call it hypocritical. A senior at Northeastern, University demanded her tuition back. I wish you luck with that. But instructors say generative AI tools make them better at their jobs. This is Ella Stapleton. Said she was surprised to find that her professor had used ChatGPT to assemble course material. He's telling us not to use it, and then he's using it himself. And this, right, the hypocrisy, that's gonna bite you in the ass, right? Like I don't care where you fall on the debate, you can't be hypocritical about it, right? I'm going to guess, right? This is idle speculation time. I'm going to guess that the professor's argument around it is that he is overworked, right, and gets a better outcome by using the tool to help him with what he's doing, which is the exact same argument you're going to get to from a student, right? Students are always overworked. They have way more work than they can take on. Now, I'm not saying that AI is necessarily the solution. I think that maybe a reworking of our educational system definitely could play into that. But, you know, what up, joint specialist? Nobody wants to work anymore. What is the prof using the AI for? We don't know yet. We'll find out shortly. With my years of experience lecturing at university, I couldn't care less about undergrads using AI to write papers, and let's face it, it's only undergrads doing it. It doesn't make their output any better than all the corner cutting shitty papers that some of them write the night before anyway. They still end up with a bad grade. Because AI is proving how useless homework is. Homework is useless. Homework is useless. My son hasn't had homework, like occasionally, like very, very occasionally, has some kind of homework. And a lot of that is like additional stuff, like doing some Khan Academy stuff that's outside the scope of the education that he's getting, you know what I mean? But related to the future education that he will be getting, and also like what he's doing in his internship and shit like that, right? And he's like, you know, he's got 90s, right? Like, now, I admit my sample size is problematic, right? Like we're talking about one student, but I am a strong advocate for homework being generally ineffective. Also, if it was up to me, they wouldn't be getting graded in the first place. Save that for post grad. There you go. It's good. I had so much homework in school docs. Me too, dude. I used to remember I would sit at I remember like one time where I was sitting at the dining room table doing homework for hours. Like, holy shit. That is one of the reasons I got in trouble in school, was because I found homework offensive and dull and painful. And I already understood it, right? So how many times do you need me to demonstrate this process to you? You know? They get very filtered very quickly when they can't write a 5 to 10K paper on their own or do any citation on their own. And let's face it, undergrad is just basic intro shit anyway. Grading them doesn't do anything for them or for me in most fields. Well, that's from the Good Doctor. The Good Doctor PhD. Some of the Nordic models got rid of homework. Their outcomes speak for themselves. Exactly. All right, let's find out about what the hypocrisy. In February, Ella Stapleton, then a senior at Northeastern University, was reviewing lecture notes from her organizational behavior class when she noticed something odd. Was that a query to ChatGPT from her professor? Jesus Christ, he got caught because he didn't proofread his document? Oh, halfway through the document, which her business professor had made for a lesson on models of leadership, was an instruction to ChatGPT to expand on all areas, be more detailed and specific. It was followed by a list of positive and negative leadership traits, each with a prosaic definition and a bullet pointed example. Miss Stapleton texted a friend in the class. Did you see the notes he put on Canvas? She wrote, referring to the university's software platform for hosting course materials. He made it with ChatGPT. OMG, stop, the classmate responded. What the hell? Miss Stapleton decided to do some digging. She reviewed her professor's slide presentations and discovered other telltale signs of AI: distorted text, photos of office workers with extraneous body parts, and egregious misspellings. Okay. Uh, she was not happy. I'm not happy. you you couldn't even be bothered to proofread your document. Um, Given the school's cost and reputation, she expected a top tier education. This course was required for her business minor. Its syllabus forbade academically dishonest activities, including the unauthorized use of artificial intelligence or chatbots. He's telling us not to use it, and then he's using it himself. Ms. Stapleton filed a formal complaint with Northeastern's business school, citing the undisclosed use of AI as well as other issues she had with his teaching style, and requested reimbursement of tuition for the class. As a quarter of the total bill for the semester, that would be more than $8,000. I have not seen a an LLM that makes egregious spelling errors. So I think that's a separate issue, not related to the AI. Possible that the teacher has some egregious spelling errors. Yeah, because here is a slide presentation from organizational behavior class that Miss Stapleton took, contained misspellings. Now I can't see any, and I can't make big. I could do that. Lewins, and there's an extra S. Change spelled with a H instead of the N. Model. Okay, so if, yeah, I think what might have happened here is that they used an image generator, and image generators um can have issues with spelling, right? And it's like, do you see this I here? And there's like half an I next to it. I think that that's what's going on. They generated this entire thing as an image, as opposed to like generated the images and then wrote the words and put them in place. So yeah, that can lead to misspelling, right? So if that's what we're talking about, what's in this image, then yes, yes. When ChatGPT was released at the end of 22, it caused a panic at all levels of education because it made cheating incredibly easy. Cheating has always been incredibly easy, bro. It has always been incredibly easy. Students who were asked to write a history paper or literary analysis could have the tool do it in mere seconds. Some schools banned it, while others deployed AI detection services despite concerns about their accuracy. Um, yeah, they look for certain features of allegedly AI written content, but they are not in and of themselves good at actually finding AI content, because you can have it rewrite stuff. You can. What up, Anti War Machine? Yeah, people have sold papers forever. I mean, like I've talked about, I was really good at social studies. My friend was not good at social studies. Um, and, you know, because I'm interested in helping out my friend, I would take the test. I would write the answers on my desk. Then, after the test was collected, I would write the answers on my notebook and then erase the answers off my desk, and then go to lunch where my friend was, and then he would write them on a tiny little piece of paper, and then go into class and take the test. And he was smart enough to get some of the answers wrong because he didn't want to do too well, right? He just wanted a passing grade because he did not give a shit about social studies, and it never, I mean, maybe you can make arguments about, building whole people and shit like that with, education about social studies and everything else. But he was never going to use this stuff, and I'm sure he's doing just fine. And like, so, but oh, how the turns have tabled. Now, students are complaining on sites like Rate My Professors about their instructors' over reliance on AI and scrutinizing course materials for words ChatGPT tends to overuse, like crucial and delve. Right? That's an exact the use of these words in is one of the things that AI detection software uses to pick it out. Oh, you use crucial. Some shit is crucial. And every day we delve. In addition to calling out hypocrisy, they make a financial argument. They are paying, often quite a lot, to be taught by humans, not an algorithm that they, too, could consult for free. I don't know how I feel about this argument to an extent, because they are being taught by humans. If the AI is helping the professor construct their course materials, but the instructor is still giving lectures and lessons and everything else, they are still being taught by humans, right? And also, like, the not this professor who didn't proofread his goddamn shit, but a, you know, I hold the person responsible for whatever the AI outputs. So the professor should be putting in, relevant questions, relevant information, relevant subject matter into the AI that then produces the course material that then the human presents, and the human is verifying that it's all accurate. So, excuse me, I would not say that you can just on your own get the same degree of education that you can get from being taught by a person, and that the professor's use of AI is not automatically disqualifying as, that. Now, that being said, maybe we charge too much for college, especially a point of service. For their part, professors said they use AI chatbots as a tool to provide a better education. Instructors interviewed by the New York Times said chatbots save time, help them with overwhelming workloads, and served as automated teaching assistants. Was I right? Was I right before we even started reading what argument the professor would make? Charging at all is bad. I would tend to agree, right? Like to go back to Mr. Silly Pants here, and talking about investment in, like the future workforce and everything else. That is, what up, Ghost? That is that is exactly what we're talking about here, right? Investment in education of your populace is an investment in the future of your country, right? If you're into that kind of thing. So you should be like, we should be taxing the corporations, right? You want to talk about, it's another example of an externality, right? That the cost of that investment in the future workforce that will be utilized by that company is a personal matter, right? Or a matter for other people to worry about. That's an externality of capitalism. And it would make sense to me that if you want the best possible workforce, that you need to invest in it, right? And the easiest way to do that in a country is through taxing, right? So tax the corporations, take that money, turn it into a national educational fund, and like that. So all education should be free for all people for anything. Sure, why not? What up, Resute? She wants some money back, but she will not earn the credits. Not sure. The whole other thing. Or we can just tax the workers and let the business profits trickle down to the rest of us. As far as I know, no one's ever tried that, James. As far as I know, no one's ever tried that. Trickle down. Like a mountain, right? Like where like all the snow kind of builds up on the mountain and then it melts, and then it trickles down into the stream, and it gradually gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then we have these large rivers and everyone benefits. It's an amazing idea. I'm sure it'll work. We fixed it. Their numbers are growing. In a national survey of more than 1,800 higher education instructors last year, 18% described them as frequent users of generative AI tools. In a repeat survey this year, percentage nearly doubled, according to Titan Partners, Titan with a Y and an O, the consulting group that conducted the research. The AI industry wants to help and to profit. Startups OpenAI and Anthropic recently created enterprise versions of their chatbots designed for universities. The Times has sued OpenAI for copyright infringement for use of news content without permission. That's why money is called currency. Holy shit, joint specialist. That's why money's called currency, because it flows like a current down the trickling river. What? Why? What, Maddie? Which thing? Yes, we are having fun with the sarcasm. Everyone is having a good time. Generative AI is clearly here to stay, but universities are struggling to keep up with the changing norms. Uh, Now professors are the one on the learning curve, and like Miss Stapleton's teacher, muddling their way through the technology's pitfalls and their students' disdain. Last fall, Marie, 22, wrote a 3-page essay for an online anthropology course at Southern New Hampshire University. She looked for her grade on the school's online platform and was happy to have received an A. But in a section of her comments, her professor, or section 4 comments, her professor had accidentally posted a back and forth with ChatGPT. Longtime viewers know how I feel about people not proofreading their goddamn shit. This is day one shit. Before you hit send, what up, Paradigm? Try it here. Wet ass P word. Oh, proofread your shit. Don't hit send until you have read the fucking thing. And don't get me wrong, I have hit send on something that I shouldn't have oughta, because I didn't check all the people that it was going to. My bad, right? Owned. I own that. Changed my behavior forever. Psych, proofreading is for losers. We out here just saying the first thing that comes to mind and the fallout. True. Maybe people should go back to using books for tables rather than electronic calculators. Yes. We should all use tiny rocks for math, right? And that is the best way. Send my messages through hologram. Oh, you're on one this morning. I need some water. The salt near is killing me. An abacus? Abacus? What kind of technology are you bringing here? Don't you know that technology leads to the plague? Oh. All right. Back and forth with ChatGPT. It included the grading rubric the professor had asked the chatbot to use and a request for some really nice feedback to give Marie. Good morning, old lobster. From my perspective, the professor didn't even read anything that I wrote, said Marie, who asked to use her middle name and requested that her professor's identity not be disclosed. Good job. Good on you, Marie. Like, no need to create drama. She can understand the temptation to using AI. Working at the school was a third job for many of her instructors who might have hundreds of students, said Marie, and she did not want to embarrass her teacher. This is good class consciousness on Marie's part. So good on you. Calculus literally means tiny rock. I don't know if that's true, but I'm gonna believe it. Robert McAuslin, vice president of AI at Southern New Hampshire, said that the school believed in the power of AI to transform education and that there were guidelines for both faculty and students to ensure that this technology enhances, rather than replaces, human creativity and oversight. A do's and don'ts for faculty forbids using tools such as ChatGPT and Grammarly in place of authentic, human-centric feedback. I believe you, Maddie. Like, there are certain people that I just default to believing the things that they say, and you are in that. If you are wrong, you are only wrong usually, as far as I can tell. You're only wrong because you thought of something else, right? You were thinking of something else, right? It wasn't you were spreading misinformation and disinformation. You were like you were referring to something else or a different group or what have you. It's something that's earned, right? It's something that I choose to bestow on people. These tools should never be used to do the work for them. Rather, they can be looked at as enhancements to their already established processes. After a second professor appeared to use ChatGPT to give her feedback, Marie transferred to another university. Fuck this shit, I'm out. Paul Shovlin, an English professor at the Ohio State University. Oh, it's not Ohio. At Ohio University in Athens, Ohio, said he could understand her frustration. Not a big fan of that. Is this Shovlin? Yes. Not a big fan of that. Respect on the giant displays homie uses though, because I am in big display, team big display. The value that we add as instructors is the feedback that we're able to give students. It's the human connections that we forge with students as human beings who are reading their words and who are being impacted by them. So calculus means little limestone. Sure. Dr. Shovlin is a proponent of incorporating AI into teaching, but not simply to make an instructor's life easier. Students need to learn to use the technology responsibly and develop an ethical compass with AI. Said because they will almost certainly use it in the workplace. Failure to do so properly could have consequences. Screw up, you're going to be fired. I like Dr. Shovlin. He shoots straight and from the hip. One example he uses in his own classes. In 2023, officials at Vanderbilt University's education school responded to a mass shooting at another university by sending an email to students calling for community cohesion. The message, which described promoting a culture of care by building strong relationships with one another, included a sentence at the end that revealed that ChatGPT had been used to write it. After students criticized the outsourcing of empathy to a machine, the officials involved temporarily stepped down. I every time one of these letters or speeches or whatever related to that particular type of incident occurs, but whenever they sent out is filled with like bullshit platitudes. There's no human connection in there, right? I don't care who's writing it and I don't care what they say. No human connection. You're not actually looking to resolve the problem. You're just looking to say something nice. I don't have an issue with it being written by AI. It's not outsourcing empathy to a machine. Your empathy, you probably give a shit about the people affected by this thing, right? But you like, what are you actually doing about it? You know what I mean? Right, exactly, Minnie. Like it just doesn't exist. It's just a boilerplate kind of thing that they say to express something, usually in as politically neutral a way as possible, because no one wants to address any of the underlying issues that lead to these situations, right? And no one's looking to resolve them. So Let's not pretend. Not all situations are so clear cut. Dr. Shovlin said it was tricky to come up with rules because reasonable AI use may vary depending on the subject. The Center for Teaching, Learning, and Assessment, where he is a fellow, instead has principles for AI integration, one of which eschews one-size-fits-all approach. The Times contacted dozens of professors. Students had mentioned their AI use in online reviews. Professors said they had used ChatGPT to create computer science programming assignments and quizzes on required reading, even as students complained that the results didn't always make sense. Again, that is an issue of person being responsible for the output of the AI. If you put your name on it, even if you're not physically signing it, but you are using it to be representative of what you're trying to teach or what you're trying to do or what you're trying to say, then you are responsible for the output. There is no issue with the AI. There is an issue with the pattern of behavior. Professors need to adjust their behavior. They used it to organize their feedback to student or to make it kinder. This is completely valid, right? Like, if you are a student who's hinging your future experience, your job prospects, everything else, and like you sometimes you can't take it like straight, right? You need a little tact. You need a little compassion in your writing. And not everyone's good at this. Right? I am like, I prefer to tell you the actual thing, right? And for you to hear the words that I'm saying directly. And then if we need to talk about it, we can talk about it, right? We can talk about it after, but I want to shoot straight. I want to get to the point. I don't want to give you like flowery language or vagaries that you can interpret other than how I intended it. If you hinging it all on ChatGPT, college, and some style purely for the job or the credits, I accept using it till college figures out how to educate the future beyond regurgitation. Yes, I did just say that. Same. As experts in their fields, they said they can recognize when it hallucinates or gets facts wrong. Good. Then you understand that you are responsible. There was no consensus among them as to what was acceptable. Some acknowledged using ChatGPT to help grade students' work. Others decried the practice. Some emphasized the importance of transparency with students when deploying generative AI, while others said they didn't disclose its use because of students' skepticism about the technology. Most, however, felt that Miss Stapleton's experience at Northeastern, in which her professor appeared to use AI to generate class notes and slide, was perfectly fine. I agree. I think it is perfectly fine. I think if the notes and slides and other class materials do not hit the standard, right? If there's misspellings in your shit, that's on you, dude. That's on the professor. If it contains accurate information, there's no issue here. Feel free, Michael. You should never default to believing anyone, myself included. At best, take a trust but verify approach. I do. And that's what I mean. It's like, if you were to say something that seemed to defy my experience, you know what I mean, then I would do a trust but verify, you know what I mean? I'm down, Marquise. Uh, but like the calculus thing specifically, right? Like what's the maximum negative the what's the I'm I too am playing, Marquise. I too am playing. Um what's the worst possible outcome of me just believing Maddie, right? And what is the maximal possible benefit to Maddie for making some shit up? You know what I mean? And that's something that's an instant calculus that happens into my brain. If it's not that important, then I tend to believe, you know, and again, it's something that's earned over time, right? It's patterns of behavior, right? That Maddie, for instance, because we're talking about something that they recently said, Maddie has um has demonstrated good faith, right? Like all of their interactions have been of a good faith and to benefit not only myself, but the community as a whole, that kind of behavior. So I would not have any reason to suspect that on this minorest of things, this, what the meaning behind calculus is, the word, that there's some benefit that they could get out of that. You know what I mean? And that's how I roll, you know. But yeah, the one good thing, that Ronald Reagan taught us was trust but verify. And I think that wasn't even him, right? Like he took that from someone else. But everybody gets one. And that's Reagan's. Oh, perfectly fine. That was Dr. Shovlin's view. As long as the professor edited what ChatGPT spat out, interesting word choice, to reflect his expertise, Dr. Shovlin compared it with a long standing practice in academia of using content such as lesson plans and case studies from third party publishers. To say a professor is some kind of monster, and I don't know that Miss Stapleton said that, but for using AI to generate slides is to me ridiculous. And I would agree, right? But again, this is a perfect example. Like, again, shout out Dr. Shovlin here. Teachers have a long standing practice of using lesson plans and case studies from third party publishers, right? Um, and here's another example of what I was talking about as relationship with some of you, right? So here's the book, right? Dictator's Handbook. Read the book. Read the book. Read the book. Read the book. Relying on this book involves a certain kind of faith that Bruce Bueno de Mesquita and Alistair Smith are being truthful, right? And that if they are not being truthful, that someone else will call them out on it, right? That's how the act of printed knowledge works. You are taking it on faith that the person knows what the hell they're talking about. And sometimes they don't, right? Like people get called out all the time. The bell curve, right? Like, but I'm not verifying all the claims made in this book, right? The arguments made in here are a logical progression. Okay, Walking Stick Library, enjoy the rest of your day. Bad anthropology and pseudoscience, right? Like it's totally a thing. So yeah. Yeah, like I mean the whole ancient aliens, right? The whole ancient aliens thing, um, is just sparkling racism. Presented in a particular way, right? Baby, I just met you. This is crazy. Here's my number. Call me baby. Thank you for the follow. All right, so speaking of AI in schools, inside the first U.S. medical school to fully incorporate AI into its doctor training program. AI is quickly becoming a part of our daily lives, whether in the office or the classroom, and one medical school is fully embracing the technology. The Icon, is that how that's pronounced? School of Medicine in Mount Sinai in New York City has become the first in the nation to incorporate AI into its doctor training program, granting access to ChatGPT EDU for all of its MD and graduate students. Faris Gulamali is among the school's future doctors, taking full advantage of the AI tool. Gulamali said he uses ChatGPT to help him prep for surgeries and to improve his bedside manner when explaining complex diagnoses to patients. Can speaking. When asked whether using AI shortened the time it would have taken Gulamali had he not used the tool, which is designed to help medical students as they face the rigorous demands required of their education, he said it really helped at least reframe the explanation. The use of AI in sensitive fields such as medicine has brought up concerns of privacy violations, and OpenAI said it is collaborating with universities and medical schools like Mount Sinai to ensure robust safeguards are in place to protect students and patients. ChatGPT EDU is built to be fully compliant with HIPAA, according to OpenAI Vice President and General Manager of Education, Leah Belsky. I think in medicine and in health in particular, it's essential that students learn to use AI and how to use it safely. It helps them to learn faster, it helps them to discover new areas of knowledge, helps them to explore more deeply. What we're really focused on is making sure that there is equitable access to AI. Belsky equated the impact of AI in the 21st century workplace to that of email and internet access in the 1990s. For another PhD student at Mount Sinai, the AI tool serves as technical support in complex research projects. It gives me a pseudo clinician style mentor who I can ask questions to at any time of day, as well as a pseudo software engineering collaborator with whom I can debug problems that I'm having, Vivek Hanpa told CBS News. It's not only the students who say AI is changing the medical field. Dr. Benjamin Glicksberg, an associate professor at Icahn School of Medicine, called it the most remarkable innovation he's ever encountered. It changes everything. I think it's changed how I interact with students. It's changed how I mentor and even try to innovate myself. The professor also said AI tools can be a real time saver, allowing him to be more available to students like Kempa, who says people should grow with the technology rather than fear it. Growing with it as opposed to fearing this thing and holding it in this scary sense of it's going to replace us, I think is really instrumental. Some people think we're addicted to AI, those of us who are pro AI. We are addicted. And the first thing that popped into my head is do not become addicted to the water. Speaking of AI, with AI, researchers predict the location of virtually any protein within a human cell. Guess we should throw this away. Definitely should have done this by hand so that you improve your skills at protein folding, right? That's definitely how that should have gone. That makes sense. Maybe Ghost, maybe. A protein located in the wrong part of a cell can contribute to several diseases such as Alzheimer's, cystic fibrosis, and cancer. There are about 70,000 different proteins and protein variants in a single human cell, and since scientists can typically only test for a handful in one experiment, it's extremely costly and time consuming to identify proteins' locations manually. Well, too bad. Too bad. No AI for you. Maybe, Ghost, maybe. A new generation of computational techniques seeks to streamline the process using machine learning models that often leverage data sets containing thousands of proteins and their locations measured across multiple cell lines. One of the largest data sets is the Human Protein Atlas, which catalogs the subcellular behavior of over 13,000 proteins in more than 40 cell lines. But as enormous as it is, the Human Protein Atlas has only explored about 0.25% of all possible pairings of all proteins and cell lines within the database. Now, researchers from MIT, Harvard, and the Broad Institute, who are addicted to AI, have developed a new computational approach that can efficiently explore the remaining uncharted space. Their method can predict the location of any protein in a human cell line, even when both protein and cell have never been tested before. And their paper is published in bioRxiv, which is a preprint. So it hasn't been peer reviewed yet, right? So we do caveat this that it hasn't been peer reviewed and replicated. The technique goes one step further than many AI based methods by localizing a protein at the single cell level rather than as an averaged estimate across all cells of a specific type. This single cell localization could pinpoint a protein's location in a specific cancer cell after treatment, for instance. Researchers combined a protein language model with a special type of computer vision model to capture rich details about a protein and cell. In the end, hey, Michael, Michael, don't spend money you don't got, all right? But thank you. But don't spend money you don't got. I'm making an assumption. You could be you could be deep in it. Um or you could be like I do, right? Like I've talked about the fact that I'm able to uh by taking surveys from Google and also generating stuff through the Play Store, I currently have like $11 in my Google account that is like not real money. Like, you know, I can use it for real money, but it's not real money. Bloop 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 bloop. So yeah, protein localization experiments. But yeah, no, let's take the AI away from people because people are addicted to AI or some other horseshit. What can we get to? We got 10 minutes. Cool. I appreciate you, homie. I really do. Developers, educators view AI harms differently, research finds. This is from Cornell. Teachers are increasingly using educational tools that leverage large language models like ChatGPT for lesson planning, personalized tutoring, and more in K to 12 classrooms around the world. Cornell researchers have found the developers of such tools and the educators who use them have different ideas about the potential harms they may cause. Finding that researchers say a finding that researchers say underscores the need for educators to be more involved in the tool's development. Absolutely, right? Cross disciplinary teams developing the tools, right? Going all the way back to where them nerds at? To this, right? Where these researchers are developing a tool. What up, Fancy Pudding? Long time no see. Hope you're doing well. They're developing a tool for spotting online trolls based on the behavior of the trolls rather than the content. But I feel, based on, quotes and whatnot from this article, that the researchers are not steeped in enough internet culture to understand some of the domain specific knowledge that people who are steeped in the internet culture bring to the table, right? Like that's something that's missing from their at least this article about their research, right? So cross discipline, right? Getting people who understand internet culture to participate in the construction and execution of the study would be a positive, right? And I think that's across the board, right? Like you need to involve sociologists to make sure that the models that you're creating don't bring up any biases that you are like currently unaware of. Who's them? Who's them, Ghost? Just all of them? General them? Every them everywhere? Oh, sociologists? Some of my best friends are sociologists. Now what? Right? Professor EXP, a sociologist I'm attempting to get on to have a conversation on the program. Not all not all sociologists. Well, you said it and you didn't kappa, ergo you weren't actually joking, Ghost. I'm joking. Kappa. Yeah, no, I understand, Maddie. And again, I am I am as patient as the day is long. We'll get to it when we get to it. He has a different kind of busy schedule, Level 67, nice. I think I'm at 82. What up, Crix? I'm looking to create a Kelly LeBrock model. That is a very specific reference. Are you currently wearing a bra on your head? Because that's an important part of the process. All right. Education technology should center educators, and doing that requires researchers, education technology providers, school leaders, and policymakers to come together and take action to mitigate potential harms from the use of LLMs in education. Yeah. And they have a paper, good for them. These harms are not necessarily just the typical ones we hear about LLMs, like bias and hallucinations. It's this broader set of socio-technical harms. Fascinating. Harvey and her collaborators interviewed six administrators, six whole administrators, from six administrators and developers from educational technologies or edtech companies, and nearly 24 educators who are navigating the increasing use of artificial intelligence powered LLMs in schools. The researchers found that developers from these companies tend to focus much of their time and energy on solving technical challenges, as you would expect, like preventing the kind of hallucinations, privacy violations, or toxic content that LLMs sometimes produce. Meanwhile, educators were more concerned with the broader impacts of using the tools, like inhibiting the development of student critical thinking skills, hampering students' social development, increasing educator workload, and exacerbating systemic inequality, since disadvantaged school districts may be less able to purchase licenses to use these tools or choose to shift funding away from other resources to license them, to name a few. Well, just give a call to Michael here, Michael Infiltrator, and because he's obviously on board with improving the educational infrastructure so that America can win AI, and therefore I'm sure he's happy to pay more taxes. Easy clap. I've noticed that the students, that as students become more tech aware, they also tend to lose that critical thinking skill. That's on you. My son increases his tech awareness and has increased his critical thinking skill because of how we go about education. Right? Because they can just ask for answers. It's not all tech's fault. It's not all tech's fault. It's instilling something into the student, right? Instilling something into the student. You have to want to critically think, right? This is not just an issue of AI, right? Like in the AI chatbots and tools. Here, like amazing. I didn't even know this was going to happen, right? We did a whole thing talking about, like, Maddie says calculus means tiny rocks, right? And I accepted that answer, right? I just got an answer and I accepted it. And Michael said caveat, and I was like, you're right. But also, this is the whys of the thing. There is critical thinking going on within that space, but look at it. It was just the internet gave me an answer to the thing. I can just ask for answers and get them. Nothing to do with AI. You like my shirt? I create my own reality. What up, Dojo? I don't want to critically think. Don't make me. It seems like you're victim blaming. I prefer comforting thoughts. Fair enough. Fair enough. Critically thinking in this economy? What up, bro? Back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh. All right. All I can say is that my life is pretty plain. I like watching the puddles gather rain. Rap like Vivek? No one can rap like Vivek. No one can rap like Vivek. He is from the streets. Best rapper alive. Vivek, Brunswick Cake. Go off, King. All right. Let's get the raid started. I will be back tomorrow morning. Probably around 9:30 and a.m. Eastern. I'll be back tomorrow evening at 5 p.m. Eastern to do video content. I hope y'all enjoy the rest of your day, which is already in progress. Always remember that I wish you nothing but the best. Excuse me. And in the meantime, drink your water, eat some food, take your meds if you forgot, and always remember that Shuggy loves you. So do I.